Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're talking about proportions. What are they? How do you solve them? And why do we care? First off, proportions. What are they? Simply put, a proportion is just two equal fractions. If you have two fractions and you know that they are equal to each other, you have a proportion. So 1/2 is equal to 2/4. We know that to be true. 1 is half of 2, 2 is half of 4. So this is called a proportion. In the context of this class, though, we care about proportions because we're going to be missing a piece of that second fraction. We're going to know the full first one, but we're only going to know half of the second one. And our job is to figure out what is this missing piece. Great news, it's actually really easy to find out. As long as you understand the concept of undoing numbers, you'll be understanding this lickety-split. Okay? But why would we want to learn how to solve proportions? Simply put, proportions show up a lot in our life, just in hidden ways. If you ever cooking or making tea or coffee or really a lot of stuff in the kitchen, honestly, you can use proportions to quickly figure out how much of an ingredient you need to substitute, how much less, how much more. How can I make this 25 cookies rather than 10 cookies? How can I make a gallon of tea rather than just a single cup? How much do we need to do? Proportions I use all the time, personally, in the kitchen. And I really want to get this skill into your hands so that you can start using math in your life and have it bless you. Okay? So let's dive in. Let's say, let's just read example 1. Mr. Grapp has an amazing cookie recipe. I do. It's a great recipe. It makes amazing cookies. But it requires 3 cups of flour for 24 cookies. Now, this is a ratio, but the cool thing about ratios is we can turn them into fractions. 3 cups of flour for 24 cookies, we can just call that 3 cups for 24 cookies. There's my fraction, 3 over 24. And I can use this fraction to find out parts of other fractions that I might want to make, assuming we use the same building blocks. So this is my recipe, 3 cups of flour, 24 cookies. But how much flour would I need if I only wanted to make 8 cookies? How do we do that? Well, first we would set up the piece I know, 3 cups of flour for 24 cookies, right? And I want my recipe to stay the same, so it's equal to, but instead of 24 cookies, I want only 8 cookies. And what I don't know, I'll put with an X. How many cups of flour do I need? Just like that, we've set up a proportion. Now, how do you solve it? Okay, here's how it works. We do something called cross multiplication. It's where you multiply diagonally. It's actually down here. To solve a proportion, multiply diagonally. I think I spelled that wrong, but oh well. We're a math class, not an English class. Multiply diagonally and then solve for x. So here's what I like to do first. I like to start by multiplying the variable. So 24 times x. I'll write that. 24 times x, 24x, is equal to, and then I'll multiply this way, 3 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And so remember, x represents the number of cups of flour I need. All I have to do now is undo any unwanted numbers, and I'll know what x equals. I want to undo this 24. This is 24 times, so to undo, we divide. Got to do it to both sides. And just like that, we find out that if I want to make 24 cookies, I need 3 cups. But if I only want to make 8 cookies, I need 24 divided by 4, 1 cup. And that's the power of a proportion. A fraction you know, a fraction you don't, cross multiply, solve to find your answer. Let's see if we can go the other direction. We know this to be true. I need 3 cups of flour for 24 cookies. That's true. How many cookies would 2 cups make? So let's say I knew that I have 2 cups of flour. How many cookies would that make? Now my x is on the bottom. Great news. You solve it the same way. So let's do that. Cross multiply. Again, I like to start with my variable. So 3 times x just becomes 3x. And then 24 times 2, so it equals 48. And now I want to undo this 3. Well, this is 3 times x. So once again, to undo it, we will just divide, slice and dice, and there you go. X is equal to 48 divided by 3. Well, that would be 16. 16 what? Well, x stood for my cookies, so I know that 2 cups of flour will make 16 cookies. Cool? All right, one more. This one doesn't have a real-life situation, but it is something you may see on a test or a final at some point. But I don't want it to scare you. I want you to understand that you just solve it the same way. I have 2 equal fractions, one that I know, one that I don't. And so to solve it, we're just going to cross multiply. Start with the variable. So 5 times b plus 5 is equal to, then do the other part, 7 times 10, 70. Now I'm going to simplify this side of my equation. So 5 times b is 5b. 5 times 5 is 25. And now it's just a matter of undoing the unwanted numbers. I want my b alone, so I'm going to undo this 25. To undo plus, I minus. They cancel out. Now I have 5 times b equals, let's see, that would be 70 minus 25. So 70 minus 20 would be 50. Take 5 more away, you'd have 45. Okay. And now I want to undo this 5. This is 5 times b. To undo it, we will divide. And just like that, we find out that b equals 9. All right. That's proportions for you guys. Again, it really is a pretty straightforward strategy. You take a fraction you know, a fraction you don't, you set them equal to each other, and you cross multiply and solve. For the most part, you'll see them in this form, just numbers given to you, but you may have a question where you have to make your own. Just take the fraction you do know, write it out, label it so that you know what pieces make up what, and then label the information you know from the other half. Then cross multiply and solve. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in the next video.